Donald Trump and Republicans won in 2024 because of support from male voters. The only way they can win, given the gender gap in this country, is support from male voters. And male voters are abandoning Donald Trump. Take a look here. This gives the game away. Okay, Trump's standing with men. In November of 2024, he beat Kamala Harris among them by 13 points. Look at where he is now on his net approval rating. Down he goes. It's a 20-point shift away from Donald Trump. He is now 7 points underwater at this particular point among men.
Okay, fairest show in America. That's a tiny bit apples and oranges, because one is versus Kamala Harris, where he's gonna do better, and the other is just how's he doing, and that's his approval rating. So nevertheless, it is a big swing. And for Trump or any Republican president to be underwater with men is, well, it hasn't happened in a long time. And so -7 with men is a disaster, because that number is much, much larger for women. Well, minus a lot with women. So at first I thought they meant young men. No, they mean all men, which is actually stunning. They have a different number for young men. Let's watch.
Young men, of course, there was a massive shift to Donald Trump from 2020 to 2024 among young men. And look right here. Whoa, yikes, 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 yikes. Men under the age of 25 on Trump. He won him in 2024 by 5 points. Look where he is now. The net approval rating way down there. Down we go to -19 points. That's nearly, what is that? Nearly a 25-point switcheroo against the president of the United States when it comes to men under the age of 45. Those men that had switched their allegiances over to the Republican Party are seeing what the president is doing. They don't like what the president is doing, and they have very much soured on the president of the United States, men under the age of 45.
What is it?
All right, we're gonna get to why in a second, but wow. Trump is at -19 with men under 45. Na 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 na. Na, 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 na. And I don't mean just for Trump, man. You can't have the Republican president with that kind of numbers and not get decimated in the next elections. Doesn't matter how many ICE guys you stuff into voting areas. It's not gonna overcome that. Young men are completely disillusioned with this administration. Before we give you the rest of why and more clips, I wanna bring Yaz here. So Yaz, how bad do you think this is for Trump and the Republicans?
I think this is very bad for them, and I think they probably know that this is very, very bad for them. This particular demographic is very much the reason why Trump pulled ahead in 2024. They could not have won the election without this particular demographic. That's why we saw Trump going on all these podcasts leading up to the election. Kamala Harris didn't do that. Not that I think she would have had the same poll anyway, even if she did with this group. But he was able to successfully sell himself to the under 45 white men. I think it's just men, not white men, but men under 45. And he was able to do that through like this comedy network and things like that. But a lot of those comedians who once endorsed him, they have turned on him because maybe they're finally admitting that maybe they were a little less informed on the actual issues than they may have portrayed themselves as being, and they voted for Trump for all the wrong reasons, it turned out, and now they're very sorry about it.
Yeah, so obviously the war is a huge issue. America First is a huge issue. So why was I against Trump? Because I love corporate Democrats like Biden and Harris? No, no, because I knew he was a fraud. I knew that he was gonna do whatever Israel wanted him to do, and I knew that he was gonna start wars and trample on the Constitution. So I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. But that is not the largest issue. Let's go to the video one more time.
And look at this, okay, men on Trump and the cost of living. In October of 2024, look at this. Trump was trusted more than Kamala Harris by 10 points on this issue. Now we've got a 40-point switcheroo in the other direction. Look at this. His net approval rating on the cost of living among men is underwater by 30 percentage points. You see this, there is no way in God's green earth that the Republican Party can hold on to the House of Representatives if this number holds. When you're 30 points underwater with the gender that of course put you over the top in the election on the cost of living, the #1 issue, that means see you later to that Republican House majority and maybe that Senate majority as well.
Yep, well, he is driving me a little crazy, and they do this with all the polls, right? So one is Trump versus Kamala. If you do Trump versus Kamala on affordability, it's not gonna be -30. It's still gonna be really, really bad for Trump, right? But it's not gonna be that bad. But they also do it to the Democrats every once in a while. They're like, oh, 27% approval rating. And that is indicative. That it shows you the Democratic Party is not picking up momentum that they should be picking up with Trump in power. But you're not talking about the Republican numbers. Once you put him like in context, this tells a very different story, right? But nevertheless, guys, minus 30 on the economy with men is a disastrous number. It's an unrecoverable number. And do we have the credibility to be able to say that and have you believe it? Well, I told you that Biden was at disastrous numbers and it was totally unrecoverable, and that was also right. It isn't about which side you're on. It's about math. Numbers are not complicated. Republicans must win men. If they're losing men by 30 points on at least on approval ratings, right? That you're not gonna be able to catch Democrats. If just like I saw the Democrats whistling past the graveyard, backing Joe Biden, whose brain was falling out of his ear, right? And whose approval rating was in the 30s. Now we've got the Republicans with Donald Trump, his lowest ever in a recent poll is 36. He's where Biden was at 36. That's, again, nah. And you're underwater with men under 45 at 19, minus 19. These are unrecoverable numbers. You could tell yourself pretty little lies just like the Democrats did during the last election. We, on the other hand, try to help you guys. So if you're starting your own business, at some point you're gonna need a shop. We have shoptyt.com. Yeah, but really, who do we use? Who do we trust? Well, that's Shopify. Shopify makes everything simpler. It makes checkout way simpler with the big purple button that they have. That really has helped us a lot. And overall, they've been wonderfully responsive to us. We wouldn't do it with anybody else. So if you're gonna set up a shop for anything that you're doing online, make sure you're using Shopify. And right now, if you sign up, you only get $1 per month trial. $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT. But yes, this looks like I mean, I can't say landslide. I can't say it because the opposition is the Democrats. And there isn't any election they couldn't blow. But if they just sat still, they'd pick up like 20 seats in the House and regain the Senate.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because, well, you don't want to get too excited because the Democrats are remarkably unlikable. So even with everything that Trump has done and continues to do, very much at the detriment of the American people, the Democrats are really that unlikable that even when people decide, fine, I'm not gonna support Trump anymore, they're not excited to support the Democrats. It doesn't mean just because they're not thrilled with Trump anymore that they will automatically support the Democrats. But you know who they might support are the progressive Democrats specifically, right? If you narrow down the Democrats to the progressive ones, we actually have a shot at winning this. And because I think a big part of that is because a lot of people who like Trump because he was there saying all the things and seemingly being of the people, it was all a grift, but that's how he sold himself. The people who supported him are now looking at progressives saying, oh, they're the ones who are actually fighting for the people. They're the actual populists. They're the ones who are actually trying to help this country and get us out of this weird situation that we've been in for the last 10 years. And it feels very daunting. And again, I don't want to be too optimistic because I live in Texas and I'm constantly reminded of the fact that I live in Texas. But it's definitely something that is encouraging to hear, especially going forward, because if it's men under 45 especially, that is very encouraging for me. I'm under 45 as well. And I like knowing that going into the future, there is some kind of hope for the people that I'm gonna be spending the rest of my life with.
Yeah, so look, I don't want you to get it wrong. We say this about Republicans and we'll say it about Democrats too. When we say Republicans are like this or Democrats are like this, we mean the politicians, right? So the Democratic politicians and leadership are unfortunately intensely unlikable, right? So even if those unlikable guys standing still, I think pick up 20 seats. Now, if you had actual Democrats, people that are like the voters, that were economic populists and you ran an aggressive campaign saying, we're gonna deliver for you guys, we're gonna try to get you benefits, get you higher wages, make sure you protect Social Security, Medicare, get you guys health care, paid family leave, all those things, then you'd pick up 50 seats. I mean, if we brought in people who were closer to the grassroots and ran as average Americans, then the Democrats would be in infinitely better shape. So none of this is complicated. You run as economic populists and you will rout them. But then when you get into office, you actually have to do it. And you have to stop lying to your own voters and to the country and then backing your donors every time you get into office. And that's what corporate Democrats have done. That's why they're considered unlikable. And that's why it's not open and shut case that the Democrats are gonna crush the Republicans in this election, which it should be, but it isn't, because the Democrats can't let go of the corruption. And guys, don't get it twisted. The Republicans, even more corrupt, right? 90% of the Democratic Party, 99% of the Republican Party, okay? So it's not a case to vote for the Republicans. It's just to say, for God's sake, go into your primaries and pick better Democrats and vote against the incumbents. The incumbents have a lot of experience in corruption, supporting foreign governments and corporations. So vote against them in the primaries. Make sure you get great candidates that'll lead to even bigger victories. And just go with the populist plank, and it's a guaranteed victory. Populistplank.com. Those 6 things all poll above 2/3 of Americans supporting it. Oh, should we go with our unpopular policies or our popular policies? I know for Democrats in Washington, that's a complicated question, right? But for the rest of us, it is not at all complicated. Populistplank.com, have real people run those campaigns, and you'll pick up all the seats you need in the Senate and the House. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.